Welcome back. I am Captain Crazy.
And I'm Princess.
And this will be our RWBY review for Volume 4, Chapter 12.
No Safe Haven.
Sorry about the delay. We have had a few lifestyle changes that have kind of delayed us for the last 2 months.
So we decided to start with the finale because the series is over now. Or volume is over.
Volume. We did get a teaser for the upcoming volume, I guess. Yes, upcoming volume. Which was after the credits, so make sure when you go to watch the episode, the final episode that is, that you do watch all the way through to the end credits, or at least fast forward through the end credits and watch the post scene, because it does kind of indicate a little bit, not much, but a little bit afterwards. So
starting,
we'll go into the chapter itself, and then we will look at the volume as a whole, just our general thoughts and whatnot at the end of this review.
Mm-hmm.
So this chapter kind of wrapped up a little bit of what, well, the very small plots we actually did get in this volume. It has the climactic battle, I guess it would be, with the not quite headless horseman.
Just call them the horsemen.
Yeah, we'll call them the horsemen.
Yeah.
So they fight the horsemen. Kind of see Rin being a little bit reckless with it, and Nora has to basically slap him to get him
back to his senses.
Yeah, to fight with his brain.
Stop attacking just head on and recklessly, and
yeah.
He's trying to avenge his family though.
He is a stealthy fighter, and he is trying to be yawn.
I was gonna say tanking, but
Is yawn anything but a tank? He tanks with his face a lot. He's getting better. Getting better. So yeah, they do a whole bunch of tactics fighting the horsemen.
You see a different stage of John's weapon, where he puts it into his shield, and then it has it gets a little bit larger, or a different type of blade. I don't know. I don't get it. Supposedly it works better.
It's the anime equivalence of a big, thicker sword does more damage, even though...
And yet...
Yeah. But...
It bugs me a lot that in this episode that the big sword doesn't do much damage, but the little tiny ceremonial dagger does more damage.
Yeah. They're hacking, slashing, and...
Not getting very far.
Just kind of going through the creature, not doing anything to it. He just kind of goes, ah! And just shrugs it off, essentially, at all of the damage, and then they manage to pin its arms miraculously, just because, oh, we are going to do it together! Ha-ha!
Power of friendship, yay!
After they've been beat up and they're lacking, and they're both Nora's and Rin's semblances were starting to give out, so...
Speaking of Ren's semblance, why doesn't he just constantly be stealthy ninja the whole time and attack when...
Not necessarily the whole time, because...
But just do sneak attacks. Why doesn't he do sneak attacks?
Just, oh, you're charging at me, I go, zoom, you can't see me! It's over.
Yeah.
It would literally be that simple.
Or the person that can do the killing blow, since he can, just through the ground, touch the ground, and all of a sudden, that person on the other side of the room can now be invisible to the groom.
Yeah, it did seem to take a lot out of him to do it through the ground, though. A lot. But it worked, so...
It does work. But they could have used that tactic more in battle. Yeah.
I would have liked to see that as well. Him actually use his semblance for something besides just hiding.
Yeah.
It's a perfect battle tactic unless the frantic movement breaks that semblance, but even then you could slowly sneak up on them and just slice it. considering that's what he does in the end anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So back to the original point. So they finally get all his arms pinned and the monster
head
trapped.
smashed.
Yeah, the horse is all battered on the ground, and then you have Rin with that little itty bitty ceremonial dagger, and just shing, and there goes arms that swords didn't manage to chop off. I do understand that they're now stationary targets, so they're not moving.
A little bit easier, but still, just
Nah, just doesn't make any sense, especially with how little damage Jan's sword was doing. Like, no.
But it is great in the character and storyline that he is able to avenge his family, who apparently were a very weak-ass bunch of people, too.
Yeah, considering
for completely not fully trained hunters and huntresses can take this out, as opposed to a full village.
Yeah.
Again, just
or
saying.
all of the hunters and huntresses.
Before.
Because there's a lot of spears and arrows in the back of this thing.
Yeah.
That,
Maybe the Grimm is just really, really old and just can't fight anymore.
I don't think Grimms get old. Age has nothing to do with
Age has
them.
nothing to do, no.
The amount of creaking he does, you'd think maybe, but... So yeah, they defeat him.
And then, for convenience sake, to move the plot along.
Yeah.
Extremely convenient.
So yeah, a squadron from Minstrel.
That just happened to be patrolling nearby. You have two ships that just fly in and, oh, we saw smoke.
Nobody's been over here forever, so we thought maybe somebody was in trouble. And
Let's just move the story along, because we can't figure out how to get them to the town safely fast enough.
yeah, especially with Crow dying from the poison. So yeah, so they make it to Minstrel. Simple as that. Yeah. And then Ruby starts writing some heartfelt letter
To her sister. Not even to her father, to her sister. But yeah, poor father.
But I have a feeling they're a lot closer than...
Yeah.
I don't think Daddy was around too much. Yeah. So yeah, we see Ruby writing her letter. We don't get a whole lot other than, it's been hard on us.
Harder than I thought.
Not just fighting, but the trials and tribulations of life and that kind of
Harder
jazz.
to deal with, the loss than she thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. And then we see Blake with the White Fang flag. So you see the new one and the old one. The old one being much more of a symbol of hope versus a
Blue
symbol
and
of
white versus black and red.
symbol of rage and blood and yeah. So you see her kind of debating over that. You see
Weiss, she bribes a pilot to smuggle her out of the country.
and she's still wearing her very inconspicuous dress and whatnot.
It's a battle skirt.
Why she wouldn't wear something, a little more blending in-ish, so, because if they ever got stopped, well, very recognizable, and the garb just solidifies it, versus, if you wore something that a commoner would wear, you might be able to sneak by a little bit better.
I don't think she probably owns anything that a commoner would wear.
She wouldn't be smart enough to have the butler get something. They have enough
But
money.
she already asked the butler to help her escape.
And I don't think it's the first time. Then we also see Yang, who...
Is smart and takes her motorcycle
Yeah.
while traveling, so she can get there faster. Makes sense.
And she gets to a crossroads, and it says bandits on one way and minstrel the other, and she tells her mother essentially that when she finds her that she's in trouble, but goes to minstrel because that's where Ruby is, and she must help her sister because her sister could be in trouble and would need her help, versus trying to deal with her own issues that would just be selfish, I guess, in her view. And then we see the...
Cinder!
Ah, yes. Cinder, who kind of snaps her right hand again, not ever using her left. It's always hidden. And just snaps her fingers, and then what's her face there?
I thought it was her left hand that she was using. For, like, the actual fire?
She was using her right.
Are you sure?
Positive. She used her right hand.
We're going to examine this.
But she uses her right hand. She snaps her fingers, and then what's her face there makes the illusion.
Ah, yeah. Sorry.
Makes the illusion pop up of Ruby begging for her life, and Cinder burns her to crisps, and Salem just kind of stands there smiling. But yes, definitely the right hand. It's on the left because of screen.
Yeah.
Then we see the boy who apparently has...
That's after credits.
On the train?
Oh, on the train. Yeah, you see him going on the train.
Yes.
See Oscar. His name is Oscar.
We see Oscar on the train.
Again, smart. Can travel by train.
I have a theory on that. And that's what Ruby was trying to avoid detection via, the people that might want to do her harm.
I just think that, having everybody else travel by, public means or by train, by ship, by
motorcycle,
it completely diminishes everything that Ruby is trying to accomplish during this volume. Because, it just makes her look kind of stupid. Why did she take the train? That's my opinion.
Oscar takes the train and he goes to Minstrel. And that's basically how the entire... Wait, what?
The professor.
Oh, yes. The professor is meeting with one of the minions of Salem. So...
Isn't it the professor? Doctor? I don't know. I forget his name too.
Professor Lionheart. But that's not the...
Evil League of Evil minion?
No. Dr. Lionheart was the person that he was going to meet. Remember? Because he's supposed to be the emissary or whatever of Salem.
Yeah, so insert name here of who is meeting who.
Because, it's been a while since we've dealt with the Evil League of Evil.
Yeah.
But it is Professor Lionheart.
Yes, person meets Professor Lionheart. And says, oh yes, Salem, she said you ought to be very accommodating.
Yeah, and that's essentially how the entirety of the volume ends. Very anticlimactic. Wrapped up the little bit of plot we did have. Very Rin-centric and Yang-centric a little bit.
And yet not enough Yang.
No.
I wanted to see more of a struggle with her for getting the arm on. I wanted to see it where she was forced into that situation because of a battle where she had to put it on. She was getting her ass kicked without it and then had to put on the arm and then she could fight. That's how I wanted to see this go down.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. Overall, this volume just didn't do it for me.
At least with the last volume, even though, certain things happened that were very sad about and don't like, the villains accomplished their goal. They actually did something. This, neither side really did anything.
Yeah.
So that's what bothers me about it. Just,
It's a journey, which didn't really need to happen in the first place. It could have been a very quick journey. It didn't need to be months of walking. Mm-hmm. It didn't accomplish a whole lot. It was a very heavy setup for events to come.
Yeah.
And with a 12 chapter volume or season, whichever, it needs to be set up at the beginning of the season and then climax and moving of the storyline later in the season, which you can't do when it's the entire season is set up.
Yeah.
Because then you're just making it where you have now a big gap and it's going to cool off because you didn't have that epicness like for the last, even if it was the last 3 chapters, if we had 3 epic story progressional things where a lot of battles happened, a lot of story progression where the enemy kind of showed their hand, showed what they were doing. We don't even know what their ultimate goal is.
Other than they're trying to find relics, but as to what those relics are for, what they look like, really, just...
And like, there's no progression on them trying to find it. We don't see any of that. All we get is a little bit of diplomacy, I guess it would be.
And some of the children's stories and theories of what those relics are for, too, but...
Like, yeah. A series could do 12 solid episodes of setup, but only if a season is, say, 24 episodes. Because then at least you have a weekly or bi-weekly looking forward to the next one. Now we're going to have
a very long period of
3 to 6 months, maybe even longer, before we get anything else. And in that length of time, if people didn't, if it wasn't the best reception for this volume, then how many people...
the hype for the next volume.
Exactly. How many viewers are they going to lose in between where they found something else that maintained that epicness?
I'm also disappointed though that because in the trailer they show like this big giant gorilla that's attacking RWBY, and we don't see any creatures similar to that. Like we do get a lot of some new kind of like mega bosses, I guess, for the Grimm, but I don't know, we just didn't see the same type that was in the trailers. Yeah. So I was kind of looking forward to that creature and never seeing him really in play other than in that trailer.
I kind of expect trailers not to give too much away nowadays. Trailers are almost their own universe, their own timeline, because that way they don't give away plot.
Well, especially the trailers with this particular series, though, it's more of a short little in-between thing. It doesn't really indicate much of what's happening or preview of what the season is, but I don't know, I just kind of wanted to see some of those similar creatures, though, in it. But some of the things that it does do well, though, is the music. I really enjoy the music, and the battle sequences are good, aside from, you know, some weapon concerns. But yeah, I really enjoyed the music in the last chapter, especially, you know, just when Ren and Nora actually hold hands, where Ren grabs Nora's hand, the music just like stops for a second when she has like this big panic look on her face. And when it flashes to the different characters, you have all their different themes playing throughout that part as well.
And it kind of flows into each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't just skip from one to the other. It kind of blends the two together, and then it brings out the next person's theme, and then slowly molds it into the next person. And yeah.
So the music is something that's consistent throughout the throughout the different volumes, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, the animation is continuing to improve as well. It
was a little jarring at first because it is completely different than the first 3 volumes, but it is a higher quality. It is nicer now that you've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get used to it.
Yeah, after the first couple episodes, you're like, wait, it looks a little, it's not odd, it's just different from what you're used to.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, once you get used to that's the new level of animation, it actually is a higher quality. It's smoother, all the motions are a little more...
fluid.
Exactly. They don't have to do as much of the jarring super speed moments to trick your eye into making it look better than it is, if that makes any sense to anybody. But yeah. That's our opinion on this this chapter and this volume as a whole, and then we'll get now to the post-credit screen. You don't get a whole lot, but you see Oscar meeting Crow, who obviously is a little better because he's in a bar drinking.
Big surprise.
And so Oscar walks in.
Very hesitantly.
Yeah. And talks to himself, and Crow kind of looks at him.
Get into that part.
What the hell is this kid? And then, I'm supposed to ask you for my cane back. And you just see that big smile from Crow, and And just tosses it over and welcome back, Osmond.
Osmond.
Oz. He called
He's
him
called
Oz.
him Oz. Did you call him Osmond?
Ozpin.
He's Ozpin. Yes.
That's what I said.
Doesn't sound like that. That's not what you said.
That's what I said.
No.
She'll watch it back later. Especially since she does all the editing. I think that's about it for this entire...
Well, it's just interesting that, you know, he completely is accepting of it. Just like, okay, yeah, sure. So, had they planned this out ahead of time somehow?
Or has this happened before and Ozpin just kind of jumps through time? Is his previous body not actually his original body? Like,
was there two souls in the previous body?
Yeah, and then...
So, they do actually make mention of it, though, in the last volume. When Pyrrha and Ozpin are talking about their favorite stories. They talk about, like, the girl in the tower, the maidens, and also a man with two souls. So they do actually mention it and foreshadow a little bit about it in the previous volume.
I see. So then, if he already had two souls, does he now have three souls? And the soul that is in with Oscar right now, was that a merger of two that kind of merged into one and became a new being, and now that new
being... It's like
Comicalo. How would you... Because you got to add Nail's name into the... Oh, yeah.
Dragon Ball Z.
If they're watching this, they understand it.
Yes.
Well, that'll be all for this review. I have been Captain Crazy.
Had?
I'm still.
Still? Okay. I'm still Princess.
And until we get a new volume out, we will be continuing to try to go back and
slowly
fill in the gaps. Like we said, we did have some lifestyle changes that have kind of stopped us from recording for the last little bit. But we should be back on track here in the next few weeks. And every week or two, you probably are going to get...
the previous ones?
Another chapter, and we can fill in the gaps and prepare for next volume.
That's it. Have a good day. Bye.
Ciao!